All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is up? What is up? What is up? It's kind of different to come in without the music, without the sounders and everything. We are the Game Time Radio crew, and we are coming to you live, man, from 3 different areas today. If you're a fan of the show, man, you normally catch us on 6 to 7 on Sundays. We normally talk a little bit about everything, and I got my guys with me. So let me go ahead and introduce the Game Time crew. First things first, man, our guy, the CEO of ATL Sports HQ, our guy in the red stripes on today, Atl Phil. What's going on, my guy?
Yeah, how's it going, man?
Super Bowl, man. How you feeling?
Pretty good, pretty good. I wish it was us in it, but it's in our city, so I'll take that.
It's all good, man. And our guy from the left coast, from the west coast, man, our guy Bowlin Bob, rounding out the crew. Bob, how you feeling this Super Bowl Sunday, man?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Got to be here for a little Game Time Radio Unplugged.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So this is, you guys normally do your your podcast or your show from ATL Sports HQ from the Google Hangout. So this is it's a little bit more foreign to me than it is to you, but we're gonna make it do what it do, man. But first thing first, man, if you want to know how to get in contact with us on the Game Time Radio show, Phil, go ahead and give us some of the housekeeping and how they can get in touch with us.
Yeah, definitely check us out. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at GT Radio 1100. Just search for us on Facebook. Search for Game Time Radio. Head to our website, GT Radio 1100, and search us on iTunes. Give us that 5-star rating and subscribe, and make us blow up.
Yeah. First things first, man. Let's get into some of these headlines. Now, we were in the studio. We would call this segment "Fresh Off the Press," man. We're gonna get into the Super Bowl. We got a lot of time to talk about that. But man, this week going into the Super Bowl, we have had a lot of headlines dominate that weren't Super Bowl related. You could almost say the NBA has kind of hijacked the Super Bowl week. The news with, first of all, Anthony Davis, and now the Porzingis to Dallas, the Porzingis to Dallas trade. Bob, man, this kind of dominated the storylines this week. What are your thoughts on Porzingis to Dallas and New York getting DeAndre and all that bombshell that happened this week?
You know, it was a good week to be an NBA fan for sure. You know, just with the news going on. You know, Anthony Davis, not shockingly, wanting that trade. Obviously, it's to LA. You know, other teams have been speculated. Boston could have a shot at him. You know, I would think those would be mainly the first 2 teams that people would think of, you know, so I'm not shocked by it at all. Anthony Davis is just never going to, you know, get it done in New Orleans. So it's time for him to go upon his way. It'll be interesting to see who they get, you know, who they could possibly get in a deal for them. The first offer thrown out by the Lakers included Lonzo and included Kyle Kuzma. And a lot of people are saying that's not even close. So I think it's going to take at least 3 to 4 names, you know, players, and then we're going to be talking multiple draft picks to get AD. Now, as far as Kristaps Porzingis, I'm really surprised by this. I just can't believe that the Knicks gave in to his trade demands so quickly. You know, he being a center, I know he's hurt and stuff, but it just seemed like he was able to control exactly where he wanted to go, get to play with, you know, in Dallas. And then, yeah, it just surprised me, I guess, that the Knicks gave up on him so quick.
Yeah, man. Porzingis is going to go play with our guy Luka Doncic. Phil, man, what are your thoughts?
Man, at first I was like, wow, Dallas, you know, this could turn them into something. But then, you know, not Luka, KP probably won't play this year. He's probably going to take the rest of the year off. This actually helps the Hawks draft pick. A lot of people were freaking out, like, oh, there goes our lottery pick, blah, blah, blah. No, even if KP came back 100% right now, they would not make the playoffs. They're in 12th place in the West. They have about 5 teams ahead of them, including the Lakers, who you have to assume are going to get into the playoff spot. So they would have to go on a major tear to make it. But I really like the makeup of that team going forward. And it was a great week for the NBA, you know, a very hard week to steal headlines, but they really did. And then the Anthony Davis stuff, How about Anthony Davis's dad just ripping Boston to shreds pretty much. And I got some enjoyment out of that, but everything he said was true. It's not like he came out and said some, stuff out of left field. What he said was true, but I don't know. Anthony Davis could still want to go there, but he kind of said something similar last year about teams not showing loyalty to players, and he referenced the Isaiah Thomas situation. So I don't know if he really wants to be there because Boston is acting like LA fans these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what are you guys thinking about? And personally, I went on Facebook Live and I initially were just going to talk about this for like 5 minutes. I ended up talking with some of my New York buddies, was online for like 40 minutes almost. I love this trade for both teams involved, man. I think that next year, when you have a matchup with Luka Doncic and KP, a healthy KP, I think those are matchup nightmares for Dallas. Mark Cuban with KP, you pretty much have your heir apparent to Dirk Nowitzki. He's going to be on the way out. Those two guys are going to put butts in the seats. I think it's great for Dallas. And let's talk about New York, man. New York moves all of that money off their books. They're probably going to buy out Wesley Matthews and buy out DeAndre Jordan. And the heat is on to New York, man. So what are you guys' thoughts on the New York side of the nickel?
79 million is a lot of money to have off your books. For me, it's I would have to think that they have someone that has maybe given them sign of a verbal commitment to make this deal, whether that's a Kevin Durant possibility. But the thing is that there's a lot of good free agents or coming around that Kyrie, Kemba Walker. There's just, there's enough to start building a superstar team. The one good thing about Kristaps is that, he's going to a place with Mark Cuban who knows how to market the international star. So he's going to thrive there. But yeah, this just opens up so much money for the Knicks. They have a lot of possibility, but man, if they strike out in free agency, they're in trouble.
Man, haven't we seen this story before? New York, they think they're going to get LeBron. They think they were going to get KD. They think they're going to get every free agent. And who do they usually get? Nobody. I'm not buying it. I hate the trade on the New York side. Why do you trade your young, promising star? It's not even from what I read and understand. KP didn't demand a trade.
He demanded a trade. So initially, to clear that up, the reports were that he just went in and he talked with the front office about like his role with the team and everything. That's what came out initially. Then after the trade happened, they said that he didn't want to be there. And so New York was scrambling, was like, yo, man, if this is our guy and he doesn't want to be here, we got to get rid of him. And that's why I thought it was good for them. Now New York has a ton of money. And like Bob said, like if they strike out here, like those guys, the New York fans are just going to have to jump in the Brooklyn River because, it will be the biggest whiff in history with all that money, with all that. The New York Knicks, they still have juice. Okay. Regardless of whether they are good or bad, the Madison Square Garden is still a place where people love to play. In my opinion, I think that at the very least, either Kyrie or Kemba is going to end up there, and I think that's a pretty good start.
But like, these players are smart. These player agents are smart. Run historically as the Knicks in the last 15, 20 years. I don't see them being able to get two max guys.
If this keeps up, it's going to be the New York Nets and the Brooklyn Knicks.
Yeah, man. So I thought those storylines were really good going into the Super Bowl. It wasn't really much Super Bowl talk going on, but I'm all for the basketball hijacking these highlights, the storylines going into the Super Bowl. But last night, the NFL Hall of Fame introduced its class of 2019. And I want to get you guys' thoughts on any of the guys that got in this year. And it was a pretty decent class, a lot of DBs. You had Ed Reed, Ty Law, Champ Bailey, Tony Gonzalez, Kevin Mawai, Pat Bowlin, Gil Brandt, and Johnny Robinson. Phil, I'll start with you, man. Are any of these guys that jump out at you that were just like, oh yeah, man, I knew he was going to make it in, or any guys that you have kind of like a special memory about? Or
I got to go with Tony G, of course, because of his time with the Falcons. He came in the later side of his career, but he was still a really dominant tight end when he came. And also he really shouted out the Falcons last night. He was pretty much like, the Falcons pretty much made my career. So he holds a special place for me. You know, I'm not a huge NFL guy, so not too familiar with a lot of those guys, but I know Ed Reed too.
How about you, Bob?
You know, Ed Reed and Champ Bailey and Tony Gonzalez played a lot during, you know, the time that I've been really into the game. Kevin Mawai was fantastic, very underrated player. So it was good to see him get in. The only name that I guess I was kind of surprised on was Ty Law. I'm not to say that he wasn't a Hall of Famer, because clearly he is, but he was just never a name that really stood out for me. But Ed Reed, you know, talk about someone that's underrated, doesn't get a lot of the credit for the success of the Baltimore Ravens that they had. So I was very, very happy to see him get in. And then, you know, Tony G, one of the most dominating tight ends, both for Kansas City and the Falcons. I think that he was the one that was the no doubter as far as getting in. So, but all these guys are very, very deserving. So that's one thing, you know, I like about the NFL Hall of Fame. You know, usually every year you don't have that discussion of, you know, I don't think they should have got in, but it seems like the guys that get into the NFL Hall of Fame usually belong there.
Yeah, my guy was Ed Reed, man. I've always been an Ed Reed fan ever since he came out to U. He was the reason why I was pulling for the Ravens that last Super Bowl that they won. And I was glad he got a ring. And he is just the quintessential baller at that position. And I'm kind of like you, Bob. Like, no disrespect to Ty Law. Like, I think he is a Hall of Famer. But I got my big Buccaneers thing behind me. I kind of wanted to see my guy John Lynch get in. You know, I kind of wanted to see him get in a little bit before Ty Law. No disrespect to Ty Law. I think they're both Hall of Famers. But this is John Lynch's like third year of eligibility, and he didn't get in. And I think this was Ty Law's first. I think this was his first year of eligibility. So I kind of squashed my head to that. But, I mean, I have no problem with any of those guys who got in. Kevin Mawai was a beast. Tony Gonzalez used to kill us when he was with the Falcons. I mean, all of these guys are ballers, man. So salute to that Hall of Fame class, man. I think the NFL gets it when it comes to their Hall of Fame voting. Pretty much more than the sport.
Lynch is he's a questionable snub for sure. I was kind of surprised he didn't get in this year. He was close last year. And usually when you're close the year before, you get in, but it looks like he was real close again this year too. So I expect him to get in within the next year or two. I don't think that they'll shut him out of the Hall of Fame, but it was a little surprising to see Law get in before him.
Yeah. And shout out, of course, to Champ Bailey, the former UGA standout, playing both sides of the ball, man. Champ's always been a baller too. So shouts out to all those guys, especially the guys with Georgia ties. So let's get into our story of the day, man. We talked a little bit about this earlier. Super Bowl, kind of the lack of storylines. Like this week, does it feel to you guys that we really have like a major storyline going into this year? Or is it just me?
I can't think of one. I mean, I really haven't heard much about the Super Bowl this week besides that it's here and everything going on around it. Haven't heard about the actual game. You know, I couldn't name any major injury storylines that they've been following or any like contract ones. Because you remember with the Falcons, you know, which running back was it? One of their contracts was the big story of the whole week, pretty much. But there's been none of that. No player drama, it seems like.
No, this is great though for the city of Atlanta. The fact that there hasn't been any, you know, big stories coming out. No one's getting into trouble. This is exactly what the city of Atlanta wants to see with someone that's trying to get in a rotational, you know, to get the Super Bowl, you know, more than just the one time. But, you know, it has been unusually quiet. Again, like Phil said, had it not been here in Atlanta, you know, you would just think this was just a normal NFL week. It's been slow. And I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, New England having been here so many times. So that storyline is, you know, has been played out. You just can't create storylines for someone that's been in 9 times, you know? And then the Rams are, they don't really have that really stand out, single player that makes the news to really focus the marketing on, the guy that's, the troubled guy, I guess. You always have that one guy that someone, the press really wants to harp on for the week, but they don't really have that kind of guy. So I just think that, this may go down as being one of the most boring Super Bowls ever.
Yeah, man, there's no Eugene Robinson story or anything like that.
Yeah.
So kudos to those guys for keeping the nose clean and, staying out of trouble, man. So I guess at the end of the day, they're just going to play a football game, and I guess that's kind of what you want. Let's go around real quick and review our picks from last week. If you haven't gotten your picks, make sure you tweet us at GTR Radio 1100 on Twitter, or hit us up on our Facebook page. Give us your Super Bowl predictions. We're going to give a gift card to whoever gets closest. Now, make sure you get the score in there as well. But, yeah, give us your Super Bowl predictions. And, guys, let's just go around the horn real quick. Phil, we'll start with you and just recap about what our predictions were that we gave last week on the show.
I've been saying everywhere I've been saying this, 31-28 Patriots, and then MVP, Tom Brady.
Yeah, for me, it's I'm not, coming off my score. I still think it's going to be 31-17 Patriots, and I agree with Phil. It's Tom Brady's MVP to win again.
And of course, I'm the one, the knucklehead, who has to go against the grain. I got the Rams winning 31-28 with Todd Gurley as your MVP. And I just think they're going to shock the world, man. I think they're going to hit them like the Giants did with that pressure with Aaron Donald and the Ndamukong Suh up the middle. And I think that either way, guys, I think we're in a good position. And I think that we're going to see a decent game. It seems like me and Phil believe that Bob kind of sees more of a blowout.
And the thing is, too, if the Rams are to win, I think we could see the very rare defensive MVP.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like Aaron Donald as an MVP if the defense steps up.
Definitely. And that goes into our second point where they gave out also the NFL awards last night. So you had Patrick Mahomes winning the MVP, Aaron Donald winning Defensive Player of the Year, Barkley Offensive Rookie of the Year, Leonard winning Defensive Rookie of the Year, Andrew Luck winning the Comeback Player of the Year. Any problems with Patrick Mahomes as your MVP, guys?
Nah, I think he was the runaway MVP in my opinion. I know people were trying to push Breeze, and then even people were trying to push Luck in there last minute, it seemed like too, but nobody had the season that Mahomes had or the impact on his team that he had. I just think it was a no-brainer to me. I would have been shocked if anybody else won it, and I'm just glad Drew Brees didn't win it.
Yeah, the only way this was going to be anything else is if they would have had co-MVPs, then it would have been Mahomes and Drew Brees, because it was the easiest 1-2 for MVP this year that I've seen in a long time. But yeah, Patrick Mahomes just had such a memorable year. I mean, it was just fantastic. It was a lot of fun to watch. So he 100% deserved it in my book.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you too. No disagreement here. I mean, from beginning to end. And, and it took a while for me, at least, to get onto the Mahomes bandwagon because he shot out the gate like a bat out of hell, man. It was like, oh, my gosh, like the first 4 or 5 weeks, you're like, okay, this guy's going to slow down. Like he's figured out something, but they'll catch up to him. And they never caught up. Like, I mean, they lost a few games, but like for all intents and purposes, he balled the whole season. So shout out to Mahomes, man, to Mr. MVP.
And shout out to Andy Reid for believing in the Texas Tech system enough to let Patrick Mahomes play the style of football that he succeeded with at Texas Tech. I mean, Andy Reid had to kind of reinvent himself offensively to believe in that kind of. But when he changed quarterbacks and they got rid of Alex Smith. That showed a commitment to him. And then I said to install that type of offense to have your quarterback to succeed, it's not a shock that they made it all the way as far as they did.
Definitely, definitely. What are your thoughts on Aaron Donald as Defensive Player of the Year? I don't think anyone had a problem with that, man. He was a monster all season long, and I think the addition of Ndamukong Suh only increased his value. And both of those guys just played really great basketball. I mean, great football all season.
He could probably play some pretty good basketball.
I know, right? Power forward.
You know, Aaron Donald to me, he another one of those guys that was well deserving. You know, that defense, they took a step forward, and that's why they're in the position they're in this year to be in the Super Bowl. I mean, it just that defense took them to where they are. So, and you know, being the leader of that defense, he's well deserving of the award. Yeah, for me, the only other person that possibly could have had a chance to take him out, which we'll get to at the Defensive Rookie of the Year, was Leighton Vander Esch, who, you know, had such a great season. So, but yeah, he again, not really shocking on who got this award too.
Definitely.
Most defensive player on one of the best teams. That was another. As with a lot of these awards this year, it was kind of just no brainers almost.
Mm-hmm. Then we have the rookies, man. Offensive Rookie of the Year, of course, is Barkley out in New York. And the Defensive Player of the Year is Darius Leonard, who had a really great rookie showing, man. This guy was a tackling machine, man. Just made plays all season long. I thought, again, two guys that are very deserving, man. Your thoughts on the rookies this year?
Yeah, early on, it looked like our guy on the Falcons. Of course, his name just went out my hat. But it looked like he could get some love early on, but he kind of a lot of drops later, and it was Saquon was just a beast all year in New York.
Mm.
Saquon ran away with it for the offensive side of the ball. So you know he no doubt was going to win that. I don't think there was anybody within. You know, I would say, you know, shoot, I can't even think who I put second. You know, he was just that good. But you know, Darius Leonard shocking to me. I'm telling you, Leighton Vander Esch, I thought had that award locked up. So it really surprised me that Darius Leonard got the award. But he had a good year too. I mean, it's not to you know lessen the year that he had. It just shocked me on that one.
Yeah. So shout out to all those guys. Oh, and of course, our last guy, Andrew Luck, Comeback Player of the Year. Andrew Luck was a great story, man. I've always kind of pulled for Andrew Luck. I always thought he was a good guy. He's always seemed like a football guy. You know what I mean? Like he was born to play football. Almost. He reminds me a lot of Peyton Manning, how he's just like, I can't imagine him doing anything other than playing football. But shout out to Andrew Luck as the Comeback Player of the Year. I don't even know who else would be in the running for Comeback Player.
People thought he was done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were whispers.
A lot of people forgot that, you know, because it's been a couple years since we've seen a healthy Andrew Luck, is how good he was before the injury. I mean, they believe, you got to imagine, they believed him enough to get rid of Peyton Manning. So that tells you what the franchise thought of Andrew Luck. So they weren't going to give up on him, you know, and, you know, shout out to him on his comeback because he did have a fantastic year. Again, he got votes for the MVP, and that says a lot of the year he had.
Yeah, so shout out to all those guys, man. One thing I forgot to mention, man, our sponsors, man. First of all, I want to tell you guys about Beckford Realty. That is the realtor who sponsors our show. Make sure you give Peter Beckford a call. He can answer all of your real estate questions if you're in the Atlanta area and you have questions about selling your house, trying to buy a house, how much is my house worth, do I qualify? Any question you have, Peter Beckford is your guy. Top 10 in the state, moving these houses, man. He's affiliated with us, man. 404-547-3151. 404-547-3151. Give Peter a call. And also, this segment that we just finished is sponsored by ATL Sports HQ. Phil, give him a quick commercial about ATL Sports HQ and what you guys got going on.
Yeah, definitely. We got you covered. All things Atlanta sports, Hawks, Braves, United, UGA, Georgia Tech. Who I'm forgetting? Falcons. We got you covered. So definitely come check us out, atlsportshq.com, and come write for us. We definitely are looking for more writers. And it's also more than writing. You can go out and physically cover some of these games. So come give us a shout. DM me on Twitter @_ATL Phil or DM Bob on Twitter at Bowlin Bob.
Yeah, that was perfect, man. Gave me some time to put my cord back in my laptop. I didn't realize that my kid had run all my laptop battery out. And I was like, why is my screen going dim? But that was a segment that we affectionately call the 285 segment. It is a segment in which we take a look at the sports here in Georgia. And we're going to start just taking a look at the local scoreboard of some of the college sports that we follow. Phil's alma mater got off the schneid this week, got a big win. I forget who they beat, Phil. Who they beat this week, Phil?
Oh, man, who did they beat? Somebody that don't need to be playing in basketball. I want to say it was like North Florida.
Hey, man, they'll take it. So I don't remember who they beat, but they won. So we celebrated that, Phil. Make sure to send us a text and let us know. But again, they promptly caught another L as they lost to Stetson, 92-75, which brings them to a 4-19 record on the season. And I guess we could say Kennesaw State is in a rebuilding process.
It's been a rebuilding process for about 15 years now.
They're trying to get it together, man. They're going to get it together, man, just like the football team. Georgia Tech had a rough week, man. They lost to UNC. I was at that game, and they hung with UNC for about a quarter. Then UNC was like, hey, man, we're UNC. And then it just – that second half, they just ran away with it. And then the other night, they lost to FSU 59-49. This Georgia Tech team is a team that plays really good defense, but is very inept offensively. So 11-11 is pretty much what they are. Now, the team nobody's really talking about is Georgia State, man. 16-6. Coach Hunter's doing a great job with those boys. They won an in-state rival, Georgia Southern, 81-72, man. So shout out to Georgia State. 16-6 on the season, man. Don't look now, man. They could be one of those tiny teams that sneak into the dance. And who knows, man? Roll the dice.
They have a good chance. And his name just escaped me. He has a chance of going to the NBA when he gets ready. It's like DeMarcus Simmons.
Oh, yeah. Good dude.
Yeah. The problem with Georgia State is I don't think they're really surprising anybody anymore. I mean, we're talking pretty much, a run of about, 4 years now, starting with, RJ and then, coming through that they've really dominated that division. And so, when they get into the dance, they could surprise somebody. They're always a team that I wouldn't want to face in the first round because, just they got a little bit of upset in them, but Ron Hunter always has that team playing very well. So, and my wife, she's a Georgia State graduate, so she's always happy for a win against Southern. That's for sure.
Yeah, shout out to Ron Hunter, man. He's not going to be here long. Somebody's going to scoop him up, and he's going to upgrade that his coaching position, man. So shout out to him. He can coach, man. He's a really good dude. So shout out to Georgia State. Let's talk a little Hawks, man. And the Hawks, man, they are they're in the groove, Phil. They're in the groove.
On a great road trip,
man. If I would have told you, man, going into the last game of this road trip, Phil, that your Hawks would be 3-3, man, what would you say?
I'd be like, what? Did we make a surprising trade and buy instead of sell? Yeah, I mean, Trae Young and John Collins are just on another level right now, a level that I did not think we would see until maybe like next year. It's amazing to see those two really gelling and just producing. I mean, they combined for 30 points in the fourth quarter last night.
Yeah, man. You are starting to see something very special with those two.
Oh, yeah.
Because we talked about rebuilding and trashing and building everything from the ground up. This is the foundation. It's not Torian. It's not DeAndre. As much as you love all those other guys, the foundation for this Hawks team is Trae Young and John Collins. Just like in Utah, it was John Stockton and Karl Malone. Everything from henceforth is going to be built around those two guys. Mm-hmm. And if you're a Hawks fan, you have to look at this thing, throw the record out the window, You have to be excited about what you see with those two guys, man, because their synergy, the points they put up, I mean, they haven't even gotten through half a season yet. You know what I mean? We haven't even made it to the All-Star break. Trae Young is still learning how to play the point guard position, and they're putting up decent numbers. And just the future with these two, man, it's just bright.
And all of a sudden, too, Lloyd Pierce has suddenly figured out, the weapon he has in John Collins. And so now you're starting to see plays with John Collins instead of him creating his own plays. So if you get the offense rolling with Collins, and then on top of him creating his own points off the boards, you're going to start to see a few more 30-point games from him, down the way. With Trae, you're still seeing a little bit of growth. Yesterday's game, I really watched quite a bit of it, and Trae still making some shots that I just thought, I wish he would have passed that off a little bit. But you throw in those two, you get the hot hand of Kevin Huerter going, and we're going to be sitting pretty because Kevin Huerter right now, his 3-point game is just lights out. I mean, he's not missing much right now.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Bob. I mean, I'm seeing the progression of Trae, and while at times it can be very, very pleasing, at times it can be very frustrating. And it's like you have to have that balance, and it's hard to have the balance, especially the Hawks fans, because I've been very critical of Trae. A lot of times, with some of those shots he takes, I'll blast them on Twitter and stuff, and people get in their feelings and stuff. But look, man, sometimes it's not the time for a 30-foot 3-pointer, man. Like, no, don't do that. But I guess that's kind of who he is. That's just who he is as a ball player. So you hope that they're coaching him up to be a player where he recognizes situational basketball, to say, you know what, let's try to work it in, or try to work a pick and roll and try to get a good shot, because I don't care how good of a shooter you are, 30 feet from the goal is not a high percentage shot when you need a big basket.
It frustrates me more when he's making the mid-range jumper and the floaters all game long, and then that's when he starts. It seems like when he's making everything is when he starts popping off those 30-footers that have no chance. And so it really only frustrates me when he's having a good game. Like, why don't you just keep doing what you're doing? You're killing the mid-range.
And then, for all the struggles Trae's had this year, he's putting up some historic numbers for a rookie. If you take a look back at Chris Paul's rookie numbers, Kemba's rookie numbers, Steve Nash rookie numbers, he's blowing them all out the water. The point guard position is the hardest to come in and like get your feet wet your rookie season. And he's come in here and started every single game this year and is putting up decent numbers. For as bad as his shooting was in the month of November, he's back up to 30% from three. You take a look at Russell Westbrook, he's under 30%. Dennis Schroeder last year, under 30%. A lot of these high-volume point guard shooters shoot around 30% from three, and Trae is already there.
Yeah, so shout out to Trae Young, who had a great January, who was actually the Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month for the Eastern Conference. In January, he averaged 27 and 8, and like Phil said, man, for the month of January, he averaged 18 and 7. So 44% from the field, 33 from three. His shot starting to come around. I was thinking 27 and 8 because that's what he had last night in the win against Phoenix. John Collins had 35 and 16. It's going to be good to see both of our guys in All-Star Weekend. They're going to be playing in the what is it, the rookie sophomore game?
Yeah, rookie sophomore, and
yeah, so they're going to be playing in the rookie sophomore game. It's going to be good to see them playing in that and just see some Hawks representation for All-Star Weekend. I think it's going to be good for both of those guys.
And also, Trae has a good chance of being the Eastern Conference Player of the Week for the whole not just rookies but all players. He put up 26 and 8 this week. And the Hawks had a 2-2 record, so he can be the player of the week.
I'm just really happy that ESPN's not voting on this NBA Rookie of the Month, and that they actually allow the NBA to do this, because Luka would have that in the bag every single month. So it's nice to see him get some. It's nice to see him get some recognition. I think that he has a decent shot of winning Rookie of the Year, as much as the press and ESPN disagree with that and just want to hand over the trophy to who they've picked. So, like I said, I think this is what the second time he's gotten it, right?
Yeah, he got it for October/November, and got it now. Who got it for December? I thought it was him.
I don't remember who got it for December.
I guess it wasn't him.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's got to be good for his chances at the NBA Rookie of the Year.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and the thing is, man, like it's not a diss on Luka Doncic. Like Luka is balling. Luka is having a great year, but it's like you want balance, but that's just not going to be like Trey's not getting the love that he deserves for how he's playing. But I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, Luka's kind of the more sexy pick. They're playing a little bit more high profile than Dallas, high profile than Atlanta. So it is what it is. But we here in Atlanta that cover the Hawks and watch Trey play, we are enjoying his maturation and seeing how well he's playing this year. To the Five Stripes, Phil, a big week this week for the Atlanta United. Get us up to date on what's going on to the world champion Atlanta United.
Yep. So Monday morning, we finally got news that Miguel Almiron had been sold to Newcastle United, and the price tag was a shocking $27 million, which is MLS record. Nobody has ever been sold for more in the MLS than that. Very great to see. This shows players around the world they can come here, elevate their game. We bought Miggy for, I believe, $9 million when we got him from South America 2 years ago, and now we turned him into a $27 million player in 2 years and elevated him to the Premier League. That shows a lot to any young player anywhere in the world that wants to come and has the end goal of getting to Europe, but they're not ready yet. That shows you can come here and you can become one of the best. It obviously sucks losing the best player in the league, but we're going to be all right because we have Pity Martinez, who was the South American Player of the Year last year. We still have Joseph. We still have Villalba. We have Escobar. We have the most talent in the league by far. And I know it's the first preseason game, but we came out yesterday and defeated Seattle Sounders 7-1 with two goals from Joseph, 2 goals from Pity, goals everywhere. So it's great to see when you have a new head coach. It might take a while, and I know it's just the first preseason game, but to come out and show that kind of performance in just the first one, that's a great thing to see in the rain in sunny California.
We're not talking about that in the Seattle papers today, by the way, either.
I know it's just the first season game.
Give us a timeline as far as when. So the preseason has already started. What month does the season usually kick off? How do we transition from that?
Well, we have 3 more preseason games in California, closed to the public. No TV, sorry guys, but at least they're covering it so we can get all the coverage from Robertson and Atlanta United's Twitter. But in just 18 days, we'll be down there in, I believe, Costa Rica in the first leg of the CONCACAF Champions League, and that's a real game. Now, the broadcast rights, unfortunately, we're gonna have to go searching for links because I don't think anybody has that channel. Forgot what channel it is, but I don't think anybody has that network. So we're going to have to go searching for links on the 21st. And then on the 28th, they have to play at Kennesaw because the Mercedes-Benz is taken up. So we're not going to be able to get in there. Only 10,000 seats. So, but our first real opportunity to watch them on TV will be March 3rd at DC United on ESPN. So, of course, we open up with a national TV game. DC United, one of the other top teams in the Eastern Conference, probably the second best team in the Eastern Conference at this point. And then a week from then, we finally head back to the Benz against brand new FC Cincinnati, March 10th. That'll be banner night. Yeah, so that will be a very exciting time. Can't wait to be there.
Awesome. Big ups to the world champion Atlanta United, man. It's going to be fun as they try to defend their championship next season. And make sure you guys are following ATL Sports HQ for all ATL United talk and all that jazz. we're much more than just the Braves and just the Falcons and we're trying to get everything, man. We're trying to get everything. And speaking of the Braves, we're going to be covering the Braves this year. We're going to be actually attending some of the games, not all of them, but some of them. Make sure you follow Bob and everything that he does with ATL Sports HQ. So, Bob, give us some nuggets, man, about what we can be excited about for these Braves fans going into this season.
Yeah, real quick, let me shout out at Chop Up, Chop Down is where you're going to be following the Atlanta Braves coverage this year, as well as GT Radio 1100. I'll be cross-posting on both of those sites, so you can check me out there. But 3 big Braves nuggets, First thing first, Josh Donaldson, not really getting a lot of press with this signing because everybody wanting the bigger names. But whether he bats second and is protecting Freddie Freeman, or he bats fourth and Freddie protects him, this is the first real slugger that Freddie has had next to him in the lineup in a very long time, I would say since Chipper Jones. I expect both guys to have big seasons. And if Donaldson doesn't deliver, remember, it's only a 1-year contract. The money's off the books for next year. We don't really owe him anything, So I think he's going to be playing to prove himself for a big contract for himself next year. So I'm expecting him to have a breakout season. You got to remember, we're getting a former MVP and a guy that, other than last year with his back problems, isn't a big injury risk. I hear a lot of people on Twitter saying, oh, he's often injured. He's not often injured. He had the back injury. He dealt with it, so I expect a big rebound season from him. And then spring training pitching battles. In my opinion, Mike Fulton-Avitz and Kevin Gausman are the only pitchers who have locked down spots in the rotation this year. That leaves you with Sean Newcomb, Mike Soroka, Julio Teheran, Touki Toussaint, Colby Allard, Ian Anderson, Bryce Wilson, and probably 3 or 4 others vying for what essentially could be 3 rotational spots. That is going to be exciting to watch in spring training. I would think that some of these guys are actually going to end up in the bullpen, and then a few will obviously go down to AAA. The thing with them being so young is that it's not going to hurt any of these guys to spend another year down in AAA before the call up. And then my last little bit, I'd say Austin Riley is someone that we really got to watch out for this year. Last year, we eagerly waited for the debut of Ronald Acuna, and I don't think we should just all be as excited for the impending debut of Austin Riley. Where he fits in isn't as clear-cut as Acuna because, with signing Nick Markakis, that outfield spot is kind of taken now. And then obviously Josh Donaldson at the hot corner. Austin Riley's a third baseman, but he has been taking some reps out in the outfield as well. So where he fits in isn't clear yet, but he will probably start down in AAA for service time purposes. I think he'll have to spend at least 3 weeks down there before we can call him up so we get an extra year of service time on him. But it's only going to be a matter of time before we see him up, and that's if he doesn't get traded, because he is our #1 prospect in the organization. So there's a good chance that if any moves are made for Real Muto or something like that, he's probably going to be the big name that goes.
Yeah, we was watching the MLB Network the other day, and they had Freddie Freeman listed as like the #2 first baseman in the league, and I think Acuna got some love too, as far as like one of the top guys. So it's always good to see our guys getting some national pub. And this is going to be a fun season, I think. And
the great thing about it is that, we talk about all these young guys. We're still loaded. I just wrote an article on ATL Sports HQ this week. Got to go check it out. We had 8 prospects that made Baseball America top 100. So we're still loaded. We're still loaded with pitching, especially. I think 5 of the 8 listed were pitchers. So, the future just keeps getting brighter and brighter and brighter. And there was 2 guys on that didn't make that list that I thought could have been on that list. So that just tells you how deep it goes.
Yeah. Of course, I know a lot of folks aren't really into baseball because the season's so long. But I'm telling you, man, if you have a chance, if you live in Atlanta, go down, check out a ball game on a Sunday or something, man. It's a great ballpark. It's a ton of things to do. You're gonna have a good product out there this summer. I mean, when the season starts. So, and make sure you're following us for all of your Braves baseball stuff and all of the things that Bob has going on. So it should be a very fun season.
Yeah.
One tip too, family wise, if you got a family of 4 and you want to go out to a game, they have a really good deal. You just buy tickets in the Coke section. It's $10 per person. You get a seat and you get a free Coke. So that's a really good family package deal.
Yeah, you can't beat that, man. Can't beat that.
You can bring water and stuff in there too, people. I don't realize that. You can bring your stuff in.
Well, I'm old school, so I've been sneaking my stuff in the food parks for the longest, man. When you got 2 small kids and you got the baby bag and you got like the little apple juice boxes under the diapers and stuff, yeah, man, the little peanuts. Hey, man, the game's the game. But make sure you guys go check out some Braves baseball, man, when the season starts. So, as we come kind of to a close, man, let's get into a little bells and buzzers, guys. Bells and buzzers, a time where we kind of just go a little off the beaten path, but we are going to make this a Super Bowl edition of Bells and Buzzers, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of these prop bets, guys. So, everybody knows how in Vegas they have a bunch of prop bets on pretty much anything that you can bet on. You can bet on almost literally anything in regards to the Super Bowl. So we're going to talk about just a couple of things I want to throw at you guys. The first one, I'll start with you, Phil. One of the first prop bets that I saw, it said, how long will it take Gladys Knight to sing the anthem? Over or under 1 minute and 50 seconds?
Oh, way over. I said this a few days ago. I would take over if it was over 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Bob, what you think?
I
50 for the national anthem.
I have yet to see a soul singer go below the 1 minute and 50 seconds. So I'm definitely taking the over here. I would probably be taking the over at 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
I'm with you, man. I was like 150. Like that's almost easy money. Like I'm not a bettor, but like, yo, man, I'll throw $5 or $10 on that bet right there.
And Gladys is going to bring out her best performance at home too.
Yeah. And another one of the bets was will any of the Pips make an appearance? Like, so I don't know like the history of between Gladys and the Pips or how they got separated or if they're on good terms or bad blood. So I wouldn't take no bet on that, but I don't know, man.
I definitely say no Pips either.
No Pips? Pips or no Pips, Phil?
Nah, no Pips.
No Pips. So another one was Maroon 5 songs sung at halftime. Over under 4 songs. Over under 4 songs. Bob, what do you think?
Man, I'm going to take the over as well on that. Maroon 5, they have enough big hits that I think they're going to cruise through lessen their bigger songs to get as many as they can out there. And then, they have to figure out how they're going to do their performance with the guys around them. So I'm taking the over.
Phil, over under 4 songs for Maroon 5.
Yeah, I'll take the over. They'll condense some of the real popular ones. They'll condense them down or just do like the chorus and then mix and master them up nice and good. They'll probably get about 6 or 7 in there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they do at least 5 because you figure that halftime's 30 minutes for Super Bowl. They do 5 songs. Big Boy comes in, he does a little something. Travis comes in, he does a little something. That's 7 songs. Yeah, I think we're good for at least 5. So I'm with y'all. Another one that I saw interesting. Will Rob Gronkowski have his hand on his heart during the anthem? This is an actual prop bet. Will Gronkowski actually have his hand on his heart during the anthem when it is played? This is an actual prop bet. Yay or nay? Phil.
I'll go. Yeah, he seems like someone that would.
Yeah, I think he's gonna. I mean, he does some stuff with the military, so I would be surprised. I would be surprised if he doesn't. In a big stage like that. Now, I'm not gonna say that everybody's gonna do that in the Super Bowl. I wouldn't take that bet, but yeah, I think Gronk will.
Yeah. Okay. So to the football side of the nickel. Brady passing yards over under 301 yards. Over under 301 yards.
I'm gonna take the under. think he'll be somewhere around 270 or 280. A lot of that coming in their fourth quarter comeback that y'all know is coming tonight.
I'm actually taking the under on this as well. They've been running the ball a lot in the playoffs. Tony Michel's been having, such a fantastic playoff run. So Brady really hasn't had to pass. But I'll tell you what, if Tom Brady does have 300 yards passing, it's going to be worse of a blowout than we think.
Yeah. I'm with y'all, man. I think that the Sony Michel and the running game of the Patriots is more distinct than it has been in other Super Bowls. So I think they're going to rely a little bit more on the running game than that. And that's no disrespect to Tom, but yeah, I think he's under the 301 this year, man. I think he's under the 301. So
I got one real quick for you guys. I saw it this morning. Do you think Outkast will reunite at the halftime show?
I'm gonna say no, and I'm disappointed. But like knowing what I know about Andre and how he's not really into like the whole superstardom, like he's not into fame. He's not even into like anything like this type of stuff. Like Andre just loves music. He could really care less about the Super Bowl. That's just the type of dude he is. So unless Big Boy really, really sold him on it, like, oh, come do this with me, then I would say yeah. But I don't think Andre is going to be there, much to my chagrin, because like I said last week, I am a huge Andre 3000 stan. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to say no. I just can't see him doing it, and not for the NFL. I think Andre definitely would be like a Kaepernick supporter, so I can't see him doing that at the Super Bowl halftime.
Yes, I'm actually disagree with you guys. I think he is. NFL always seems to have that kind of surprise name or something like that relates to the area that they're performing in. And so I think he could be possibly the big surprise. I would say it's between him or Luda. So, yeah. But I think one of those two will show up.
Does any of the performers don a Colin Kaepernick jersey? That's not a bet. I'm just wondering.
Now, I don't think they'll don a jersey, but I do think one of them's going to kneel.
Dope.
It wouldn't be Travis Scott. Our only hope would be Big Boy.
Our only hope. And I think Big Boy's probably going to go with some Falcon stuff, in my opinion. He'll probably wear like a Deion jersey or something. But yeah. Final segment, guys. Magic number. Let's go around the horn and let's give out our Super Bowl edition of Magic Number. And Bob, we'll start with you, sir.
Magic number today is going to be, let's say 6, because I think that'll be how many rings Mr. Brady will have on his fingers after tonight.
You stole my number. Yeah, I gotta go with 6 because that's the number of rings the GOAT will have in about 7 hours.
No. My number is 28, and it has nothing to do with the Super Bowl or anything. It's just that I've started this challenge put on by Big Boy Fitness, and trying to do 28 miles in 28 days, the month of February. So I've been walking / running and doing some of that stuff like that, getting the old heartbeat flowing again and trying to get a little stronger. So the number for me is 28, man. It's been a little struggle. My legs a little sore, but exercise a little bit good for all of us. So 28 is my number today, man. And I hope to have a good time watching the Super Bowl. This is kind of like my farewell to a lot of the foods I'm going to put down in February. So we're grilling out today and saying goodbye to some of my favorites. We got a full menu today, y'all.
Y'all get downtown last night?
Nah, man, I ain't making downtown, man. I was about to. My friend was like, yo, man, it is so crowded down here. And then, I was just hanging out with my baby girl, and I was like, you know what, man, this is who I am now, man. This is who I am. And I was totally comfortable with being that guy. So it is.
Yeah, them days are long gone for me, man.
It was
long gone, man.
I'd never seen Atlanta like that.
Yeah. But of course, you guys, make sure, if you haven't already, make sure you're following us on all of our social media networks. Check out our website, gtrradio1100.com. Subscribe to the podcast. We're on all of those avenues and platforms. Thank you guys for all of you guys who have joined us. Who are we shouting out today, Phil?
And definitely shout out to everybody listening and supporting, all my friends and family, and then of course y'all too, and everybody that works with us on any of our sites.
I'm shouting out my wife. It was her 32nd birthday yesterday. We had a nice little time out yesterday. We went out for lunch. She got all our birthday presents, and I forgot to shout her out on the radio last week for having that birthday. So, and then shout out to everybody in the chat joining us for this kind of impromptu thing, and shout out to you for thinking this up. It was good to have the crew back together, even if we aren't in the studio this week.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Shout out to Sarah for her birthday. Us Aquarius rule the world, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to her. And of course, shout out to everyone that supported us, man. That has been supporting us with our links and all the content that we put out. We have something in the works for the Atlanta Legends, the football thing that's going on. And we have something in the works with the 3-on-3, the big three. So if you know people in those states, like California, where they're going to be, like New York, we're going to try to get some correspondents to cover those events for us. So stay tuned for that. I'm still working on that. But shout out to everybody that's supported the show. Shout out to my fam and everybody that's supported us via iHeartRadio, 1100, and all that jazz. So like we always say, man, God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. If you don't know him, you need to find him and show him love, because that's all he's showing you. LOVE, love. Peace, you guys.
Thanks, everybody.